Speedway last season as Elite League champions, Oxford Cheetahs were riding high. Defending the title, though, has proved a long, hard summer, and tonight they vie to stay in contention for a playoff berth. Their opponents are Jason Crump and the Bellevue Aces. They're one of the most famous teams in Speedway, but they have their backs against the wall and have to win tonight. That's right, we're at Sandy Lane tonight, the home of the Oxford Cheetahs, the current Elite League champions, as they take on Manchester's Bellevue Aces, live here on Sky Sports. And a warm welcome to you. Once again, we've got Kelvin Tatum here in the studio to bring you this match. And it is interesting now as we head towards the playoffs now. So different than any other season. We're looking at the champions, but they are now struggling just to stay in a playoff position. They're fifth at the moment, and they have a chance to stay there tonight, but it's going to be hard work to get to those playoffs. It has changed the season completely, hasn't it? It
has, because it's kept something riding on every match. You know, in previous seasons, we've seen sort of sides sort of run out of motivation because they really aren't going anywhere. But both these teams, believe it or not, can actually, well, Oxford are still in the position, in the fifth position, but even Bellevue are not out of it. If they can put a good run together, they can actually make them. So still something to go for.
And as you can hear, we've got a great crowd here again at Oxford. Well, I'm glad to say the weather has been a little bit cloudy, but certainly track conditions are perfect for tonight. I was talking to Colin Meredith, and he says absolutely perfect for racing, so let's hope there's a good meet in that respect.
Well, yeah, we know we've had some decent weather of late, so that's great news, and it helps preparing the track enormously. We haven't had sort of like torrential rain for 24 hours, but I had a walk on the track. We're looking at the track there. I had a walk on the track earlier, and it's very well prepared. Colin Meredith does a great job. I can't see any reason why both teams shouldn't enjoy the racing surface tonight.
Well, we've also got some other big news tonight. The World Cup, of course, coming up here on Sky Sports in August, and we'll be announcing the British squad for that World Cup, which starts at August it should be, August 4th here on Sky Sports, and it starts in Sheffield. That's right, August 4th it all starts, a week of great speedway, and right here in this envelope is the squad for Great Britain, and also the first team which will be taking part in Sheffield, which is very interesting, I hope, anyway, because of course that will start off the campaign for Britain here at home, and there are big hopes that they could do it. Yeah,
you know, at home last year we saw the inaugural World Cup in Poland, and you know, Great Britain went into that with a lot of injuries. Scotty Nichols and Chris Lewis were out, but they still put up a brave performance. I think at home, I can't see any reason why we can't go all the way. I think that, you know, we've got home track advantage. The guys haven't got to do so much travelling, so fingers crossed we can really do the business.
A lot to look forward to in August, but let's get back to tonight, and of course the Elite League table as it stands at the moment. We've already mentioned that the Oxford Cheetahs are champions, but as you can see, fifth at the moment, chasing Poole in fourth, who are also in action tonight. But Bellevue, as you can see, down in eighth and lingering. It's a massive week for them. They have to win tonight, and they need to go for a bonus point tonight. They've got another match at Ipswich, and that's an important one for them as well.
Yeah, two on the bounce for Bellevue. They're on the road for a couple of days. If they can pull off a win here and win at Ipswich, all of a sudden their playoff prospects look a lot better. I think Oxford, they've been struggling early doors, but they're putting a reasonable run together now, and they're in that fifth spot there, and I'm sure they'll want to hang on to that. They won't want to drop out of that position, so everything to race for both teams. And we know that Poole is racing tonight as well, so they've got a tough match with Eastbourne visiting Wimborne Road tonight, so a lot of interest here and on the south coast this evening.
And of course next week we'll be in Ipswich as they take on the Poole Pirates. Let's just remind ourselves of the format, which is very different this year. As we said, the playoff rules are these. The first place team at the top of the league at the end of the season, it's Eastbourne at the moment, goes straight to a two-leg grand final. The rest, second through fifth, have to have a playoff effectively playing against each other to try and make that grand final, and that's what makes it interesting. Home advantage also very important.
Yeah, so the top three is important. Obviously, that if you win the league, obviously that's great, you're going straight into the final, but second and third places get the home draw, and as we know in Speedway, that's a significant advantage for you. You know, you know exactly what you're coming to and bikes out of it, and so forth. So it keeps it alive right to the end, and it's great, and I think everybody's responding well to it.
As we've mentioned, other matches are taking place tonight. Kings Lynn up against Peterborough. Poole against Eastbourne. What a match that should be.
Yeah.
At home at Poole, you'd say they have the advantage, but Eastbourne have been brilliant, home and away.
Yeah, they've been a good team on the road. That's something that they've lacked in the past. Eastbourne, I think they've struggled on the road, but this season, certainly, with the introduction of Mark Lorham, he seems to have inspired them home and away, and it's going to be a tough night for Poole down there.
All right, let's turn our attention to tonight's team, starting with the current champions, the Oxford Cheetahs, playing here at home. They're, of course, led by Lee Adams, Lucas Drimmel, great everywhere else, it seems, but here at Oxford, let's see how he goes tonight. Steve Johnson, they've got rider replacement in for Alice Drimmel, who is out injured. David Howe comes in, he's guesting for Brian Anderson, still out. And then there's Mark Lemon, and Alan Rossiter makes his return debut.
That's right, it's a good looking lineup. Lee Adams there, so consistent home and away all over the world, to be honest. He really is an inspiring figure in this Oxford lineup. Lucas Drimmel, you know, he's doing well in the Under-21 World Championship, the Grand Prix. Every time he rides away from Oxford, he does the business. He needs to do it here. Stevie Johnson changed his equipment halfway through this season, really has turned his form around. Real consistent performer. David Howe, who's riding for Wolverhampton Wanderers, is guesting this evening for Brian Anderson, who's got a long-term injury. Mark Lemon, another guy from Australia, from Mildura. He's back in the Elite League this year and doing a great job down at reserve. And Alan Rossiter, he's in at number 7 for replacing Andrew Appleton. He's been around a long time, Alan, but has ridden here in the past as well, so he certainly knows this track.
All right, let's turn our attention to the Bellevue Aces. And on paper at the beginning of the season, you said this was a team that was unstoppable.
Yep.
But Sam Ermolenko is out. Stuart Robson comes in. Kai Laukkanen, Jason Lyons, Brian Carger, Jason Crump, ever brilliant. Thomas Jedrzejczyk is at number 6. And Blair Scott, the newcomer, at 7.
Yeah, slightly weakened lined up for Bellevue Aces tonight. Stuart Robson got a lot of responsibility for him this evening riding at 1. That's going to be a tough call for him, but he can ride good. Kai Laukkanen coming into the Bellevue Aces lineup after the start of the season. Jason Lyons, a real stalwart up in Manchester for Bellevue, but riding superbly well this season. Brian Carger back into the Elite League this year. Been around a long time, Brian, so should be able to perform well here this evening. Jason Crump says he's fully fit now, smile on his face there. I'm sure we're going to see some fireworks from him this evening. The clash between him and Lee Adams looks good. There we see Thomas Jedrzejczyk. He was actually released from the team earlier this year and was recalled, so obviously they've got some faith still in him. And Blair Scott, he is finding the Elite League quite tough, Jonathan. I think that really and truly his best place at the moment probably is Premier League.
Thanks very much, Kelvin. I just wonder what your thoughts are on what's the key to this matchup. You've mentioned some of the injuries. Is that going to be the biggest factor? Who's not riding tonight?
I think for Oxford, I can see rider replacement playing a big role in their performance this evening. Their reserves, if they do well, and if Lucas Drimmel, who can take a ride for his brother Alice, I think if he's on top form, rider replacement could actually score a lot of points for Oxford.
Both these teams seem to have the same problem, which is consistency. They both on paper have got great teams, but they're just not putting it together as a team week in, week out. No,
and that can sometimes happen to you. You seem to have a great team on paper, but you never seem to get everybody firing on all cylinders at the same time. Then you pick up an injury, and all of a sudden you get this sort of disjointed season. But Oxford are gently turning it around, so it'll be interesting to see how they perform tonight.
Well, let's find if they are up for it. They're with Jane O'Morrowby. That's the 2 captains.
Yeah, I'm on the track with the 2 captains, as you say, Steve Johnson and Jason Crump. If you would care to do the honours as home captain and call, please, Jason.
OK, I'll go tails, please.
Tails, he says. And it is tails.
It's the first toss I've won all year, and we will take 2 and 4, please.
You're obviously happy about that. Why 2 and 4?
Because our team manager told me to if I won.
Simple as that. Now, listen, obviously you've lost Sam Ermolenko due to injury. How big a loss is that going to be to the team?
It's a big blow because Sam's a bubbly sort of guy, you know, he's very good for the team spirit, and he was just starting to come into a good run of form as well, so it's a double blow. But we had Robbo guest for us on Monday night and he rode really well, so we'll give him another chance tonight and hopefully he can do the same.
And of course tonight it's a must-win for you, isn't it, if you want to make the playoffs?
As every meeting for us at this stage is a must-win, you know, and I'm sure it's going to be tough here, but as I said, Monday night we all seem to ride quite well at Bellevue, and maybe we can keep that going here tonight.
Quite well. That's actually the biggest win of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're all pretty happy about that.
OK, thanks very much. Best of luck. Jono, obviously Oxford are pretty confident around here. You're pretty strong, aren't you?
Well, yeah, the last sort of 3 or 4 home matches we've been going really well, but before that we were struggling, so yeah, I wouldn't be overconfident, but yeah, we're confident we can have a win tonight.
And the track's looking pretty good and everything, conditions fine?
The track's looking great, it's looking the best it's looked in the last month or so, yeah, really good. I think they've had the extra time on the track this week, so yeah, it looks great.
And what about the team? Because you've obviously got a rider replacement, Guest and David Howe, and also a new signing of Roscoe as well. How's that going to affect the team?
Yeah, that could affect it a bit because like we're not all used to riding together, but you know, and we've got Alice is out again this week with an injury, so yeah, it could play on us a bit, but I think Roscoe will do his bit, and I'm sure Dave will as well.
Okay, very best of luck. Thank you very much. Back to the studio with Kelvin and Jonathan.
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, interesting what Jason Crump was saying about Stuart Robson. He scored 13 points for them on Monday night. He could be a real key factor for them here.
Yeah, he's had some injury problems earlier in the season. He actually had a broken finger and he missed a lot of matches for Coventry. But we have seen him. He's actually finished second in the British Championship last season. And he is a decent rider, and he obviously did very well for them on Monday, and they've sort of thrown him in at the deep end again here this evening.
So often we've seen in the last few weeks, especially last week with Oxford, that the first few heats, the first 4 heats, I remember last week Oxford were down by 10 points after 4 heats before Rickardson had even ridden. So these first few heats are going to be massively important to both sides, aren't they? Yeah,
it's interesting. Jason went for 2 and 4 there. He was obviously advised by his team managed to do that. Certainly last week we saw at Poole, 2 and 4 were a significant advantage earlier on. You know, they were far better than Gates 1 and 3, and I think it was a very important coin toss to win. Only time will tell if that's the same this evening, but they obviously feel that to use 2 and 4 early on is the advantage, to get Gates 1 and 3 later.
Kel, you've been out there. What are the track conditions in your opinion?
Well, I would agree with Jason Crump. I think the track conditions are superb. I think that, you know, with the better weather we've had over the last few days, it's allowed the track staff to really show what they can do with the track, and I can't see any reason why it's a track that shouldn't suit both teams.
Well, it's a vital match for both teams, as we've mentioned. Oxford trying to stay above that line in the playoffs, and Bellevue just trying to get in the reckoning. So, an interesting match-up, and don't forget, we've already told you the World Cup is coming up. We've told you that the first day is at Sheffield, day 2 is at Poole. Welcome back to Sandy Lane, just by Cowley in Oxford. They've been racing speedway here since 1941. And always get a good crowd here. Great local support, and the locals come down here to support what is, of course, the champions at the moment, but they're going to have to work hard. They're going to hold on to that title this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a big ask for them this repeat that success. They're not out of it. Obviously, they're still in the playoff positions, but certainly they haven't reproduced the sort of form they did last year, even though they did sort of struggle towards the end of last season, really, to sort of get over the hurdle, the final hurdle, as it were. But here we see Lee Adams and the other boys just getting ready for Heat 1. There's Lucas Drimmel. Be interesting to see what sort of Lucas Drimmel we're going to see this evening, Jonathan.
Well, 2 big men. You know, Lucas Drimmel is one, and the other is Robson. I mean, if Robson gets the sort of form that he was doing on Monday, they're going to be looking good, and likewise they need Lucas Drimmel. And I think it's frustrating for everybody at Oxford, because what is he currently? He's 12th in the Grand Prix. He's backed that up by going to the finals of the qualifying stages. He's also in the under-21 final. He's doing everything brilliantly on the international scene, and yet he's hardly scoring any points for Oxford.
No, I really do believe it's down to backup. I think that he's a young rider that's spreading himself maybe a touch too thin. I think he's rushing back into England at times. He hasn't got a full-time mechanic here. He's finding it difficult to keep his equipment really up on top line.
Well, he's failed to reach double figures in each of his last 4 Elite League matches. Let's see if Lucas Drimmel and the Oxford Cheetahs can turn it all around tonight. Let's join Chris Louis and Tony Millard to pick up the action.
Welcome indeed to Sandy Lane, a 297-metre track where Oxford are desperate to make the playoffs. 8th place Bellevue haven't won here for 6 years, and they've only won 2 of their last 9 matches, both against Kings Lynn. You've heard the performances of Stuart Robson on Monday as guests. Tonight, though, the 2 Jasons, Crump and Lyons, could change a lot on a balmy summer's evening here at Sandy Lane. And here's a man wearing Sam Ermolenko's leathers tonight. This man as a guest, Stuart Robson, in the green helmet colours. A Coventry reserve, but they're looking for great things from him here tonight. The man in yellow and black there is Kai Naukkonen, 5 times the Finnish champion, long-serving rider on his way out. But Chris Lewis alongside me. Stuart Robson could be the key to this, but the 2 Jasons can hold all the aces for Bellevue.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, Stuart done a fantastic job down there at Kings Lynn to score 13 points, and that's what's brought him here tonight, effectively. So, but it's quite a pairing. Oxford have got out in this first one in Lee Adams and Lucas Drimmel, a couple of very successful Grand Prix riders.
Yeah, why do you think it is that Lucas Drimmel is perhaps so indifferent in British League when he's taken the world by storm this year in the Grand Prix?
It's difficult to say. You could put it down to an experience, but if it was experience, you would say that it would be the Grand Prix where he would suffer. But I don't know, it's very difficult, but the British tracks are very different to what he's used to in the Czech Republic, so it could be down to the tracks.
Well, the domestic action starts here. Lee Adams goes for Oxford, gate 1. Gate 2 for Bellevue, the guest Stuart Robson. In gate 3, Lucas Dribble, second in the Swedish Grand Prix, and at the back, on the outside, is Kai Laukkanen, the Finn for Bellevue. That's the lineup as we look now at heat number 1. Both sides needing a good start, of course. The reserves heat 2, equally important. Our starting marshal getting busy there tonight is Clive Herbert. Our referee up above, Mick Postlewhite. And it's Mick Postlewhite's finger that allows the pace to go up. And there they go, and a tremendous start for the two Oxford riders. Round the outside in blue goes Lucas Dribble. Inside it is Lee Adams. Now putting them under pressure in yellow. Kai Laukkanen and Stuart Robson tucking on the short line on the inside, but in last place now. But a battle out front and team riding for Oxford could clinch a 5-1 to start. A good start for them, Chris.
Perfect start for them, completely different to what we saw at Poole from them. They've made a good start in heat 1. You've got Lee Adams doing a nice job on the inside, covering the inside, looking for Lucas Dribble on the outside as well. So they look quite comfortable at the moment. Obviously they've got the home track advantage. They know exactly where to ride even at this early stage.
A reminder, the home team riders, of course, the Oxford Cheetahs wear the red and the blue helmet colours. The visitors from Bellevue, white and yellow and black. And at the moment, the front two for Oxford. The man in blue on the outside, Lucas Dribble. He has a chance to look back at his teammate Lee Adams. Back in third place in yellow is Kai Laukkanen. Round the top end they go. This will be a 5-1 to Oxford, surely. The winner in blue is Lucas Dribble, doing just what he needed to, ahead of Lee Adams in red. Third place, and the consolation point goes to Kai Laukkanen for Bellevue. But it's 5-1 indeed for Oxford to start, and that's exactly how they wanted to make their bid for the playoffs as current league champions. And a good ride by the inconsistent Lucas Dribble, who we saw looking so good in the Swedish Grand Prix. He faces the Czech Republic, his home nation, this weekend. Lucas Dribble, the winner, ahead of Lee Adams, Kai Laukkanen, the consolation point for Bellevue. It's Oxford 5, Bellevue 1, with 1 heat gone and 14 to go.
Take a look at the start. You can see Lee Adams on the inside. He's made a very good start, just moving over towards Lucas Dribble, who's on the outside of him. He now covers the inside. He'll just take a little look as they come off the corner, make sure Lucas is coming round. You can see Lee using all his experience there. Left plenty of room for Lucas to get into that bottom corner. Plenty of grip on the inside. Lucas is using the dirt on the top there. They come down onto the back straight and they're in front and looking very comfortable. Take another look at the start. There's Lee. He's just got all that traction. He's just moved over enough to stop Stuart Robson, who really was up against it tonight to cover the boots of Sam Malenko, really. But perfect start for Oxford, looking very comfortable. See Lucas on the outside. He's using the dirt that they prepared there. It's the way they prepared the track here at Oxford.
Well, certainly Lucas Dribble in that form, when he has a rider, replacement rider, which he will get in place of his brother. He's allowed it in the reserves later on. Well, that could tell, as Kelvin Tatum pointed out early on. But now the reserve seat, again, mighty important, is heat 2, and the riders coming out. And Mark Lemon and Alan Rossiter, the pair in action for the home team from Oxford. Thomas Jedrzejak and Blair Scott, the pair for Bellevue. That man in red there is Mark Lemon. 200 appearances in British Speedway and 500 points for Oxford. The man in yellow is Blair Scott, the 22-year-old. Toured Australia in the winter, of course, with the Great Britain under-21 side. Started with Edinburgh at the start of this season. Will be on his way to Workington shortly. The man in red, Mark Lemon. Already up at tape with his Oxford teammate, Blue Alan Rossiter, returning to Elite League action after a break and racing for several clubs. He's been at this club before. The man in green there, Thomas Jedrzejak, the 22-year-old Pole, has had something of an inconsistent season. He recorded his second highest ever Elite League score, 9.11 Monday night. There's the lineup. Jedrzejak goes from the inside. Gate 2 for Oxford, Mark Lemon. Blair Scott it is for Bellevue, with the yellow helmet colours going from gate 3 on the outside. The veteran, near veteran now, Alan Rossiter, runs a pub down in Swindon as Alan Rossiter, and I have to say, Chris Louis, putting up perhaps a little bit overweight on the bike.
I don't think he's going to be too pleased to hear you say that, Tony, but yeah, I have to agree, but I'm sure he's going to get himself race fit quite quickly. He's only had a few meetings this year down at Trelawney and Swindon, and I know he was a bit concerned about the reception he would get here at Oxford, as the Swindon guys don't always go down too well.
Well, I'm sure he'll get a good reception if he produces the points. So the man in blue there, Alan Rossiter, back in top-level speedway, and he's graced British Speedway, I have to say, for a long while, and certainly played his part in the success of the sport. Heat 2, the reserve team. Up by the tapes again, and certainly Alan Rossiter on the outside does get a good start, picks up grip, and moves smartly into second place behind Thomas Yedrayak, the promising pole. Rossiter in second place. Back in third place in red is Mark Lemon. Tailed off at the back is Blair Scott, who has work to do. But a great start by Yedrayak, the pole here, who should get a share of the points for Bellevue. And this could colour the future of the meeting as they stretch out down the back straight. Rossiter in second place. Back in third is Mark Lemon, but the pole going well, Chris.
Absolutely, yeah, he made a great start. He's done it from the start, and you said he's been a little bit inconsistent this year, but Oxford will be looking for some consistency from him tonight. And Alan Rossiter's looking quite comfortable in second place. He's not been on the bike much this year, but he's doing quite well at the moment.
Well, they go into the final lap now with the pole stretching his lead here and looking very comfortable on this well-prepared Sandy Lane circuit. A credit to the track curator, Colin Meredith, and the man in green there, Thomas Yedrayak, is going to become the first heat winner of the night for Bellevue. He certainly does. Second place goes to Rossiter. A good comeback to Elite League Speedway in blue. Third place in red goes to Mark Lemon. And that's a split of the points at Oxford 3. The visitors from Bellevue 3, which makes it, of course, 8-4 with 2 heats gone. And a good ride indeed by the pole there. Yedrayak, the winner of Alan Rossiter. And Mark Lemon packing in for the 3-all. And Oxford providing, again, a lead of 8 points to 4 with 2 heats gone. And not a bad ride by the 22-year-old pole from Ostod in Poland. A good ride by him all the way from the tapes, Chris.
Yeah, here we go from the tapes, and you can see Thomas Yedrayak there. He's made a pretty good start. We've got Alan Rossiter on the outside. He's normally a very quick starter, but he's not got much experience this year, so he's going to take a couple of races to get back into it. But he's trying to move up the inside there in between the two. But you know, it was Thomas Yedrayak all the way, really. He made a good start, and like I say, Oxford are going to be looking for some consistency from him tonight.
Well, Lee Adams is in our studio with Kelvin Tatum and Jonathan Green.
Yeah, we're just having a chat, talking about how important the opening heats were going to be. And you surprised at the fact that Jason went for 2 and 4?
Well, I think the gates are all pretty even, you know. I was a little bit surprised, but I guess he's looking really towards later on. Gate 4 gets very slick here, so maybe he's looking for heat 13, you know, to put him on 3 and try and make a bit of a jump there. But you know, we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, it is. We saw last week when you were on television down at Poole, and that was vital to win the coin toss there, because it was clear very early on that 2 and 4 was so much better. Yeah,
it was. It was such a shame for that meeting. You know, I think we could have made a lot more of it, and you know, if we had won the toss, I'm not saying we would have won it, but they're a good side, and sure, you know, Tony was on the gas and riding, you know, very good, but it would have been a lot closer, you know, and I think we would have made a better meeting of it. Okay. It's such a shame, you know, the track down there is such a great little shape, but
sure. Well, we don't want to dwell on that too much, because that was a tough night for you, but tonight, that first race, a nice 5-1 with Lucas Strimmel there. Good to see him get away and settle down in the first heat.
Yeah, without a doubt, he can be a bit erratic, and you know, he's settling down just the last few meetings, and I think the Grand Prix finishing second in Stockholm's given him a bit of confidence, and you know, let's hope we can carry on, and you know, we're fighting for that number 5th spot for the playoffs, and you know, we'll be battling away.
Lee, we're announcing the British World Cup squad later this evening, in fact, for Sheffield, of course, and we know your team already. I wonder if you can just tell us a little bit more about it as we take a look at it on the screen.
Well, you know, we got a great side. We've got 4 GP riders there.
A bit rough to me,
that. we've deliberately put Todd Wiltshire at number 5. We feel, you know, he's a great starter, and you know, can put the cat among the pigeons there. Can be a real trump card. But
Sheffield won't suit him.
Three of you riding in action tonight, of course.
2 very good tracks for us, Sheffield, and you know, hopefully we can qualify through there and go to Peterborough. And you know, I think you know, things look good, and I guess there's no home track advantage. The English guys are going to be very pumped up. We know that. So we're going to go there with you know, pretty determined ourselves.
I was going to say, in terms of the overall World Cup, you guys are going to be confident. You race here at all the you know, places we're going to, Peterborough, Poole, and obviously Sheffield. You guys are going to be confident, and obviously you've got a great team there.
We have got a good team, you know, but we had that 2 years ago at Coventry, and you know, we ran last. It came up and bit us, and I think we were too confident going into it and very relaxed, and it didn't come off, so we're not going to let that happen again.
How important is something like the World Cup to the Aussies?
Well, we got recognised a hell of a lot, and you know, with the GP in Australia this year, I think you know, the publicity is going to be strong, and you know, if we can be world champions, it's going to be fantastic.
All right, well, best of luck tonight, and we'll let you get back to the pits and set up. Thanks very much, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
So, yeah, you look at that team on paper, and it's frightening, isn't it?
It's average, mate. It's average.
It's average. Go on then, yeah.
No, but it's a tough side. They're going to be difficult to beat, but I'd like to think that England or Great Britain rather are in with a shout at Sheffield. It's not a track that they do actually ride on regularly. It's a Premier League track, so It'll be interesting to see how things get on. But
Kelvin, just to let you know that the delay we've got at the moment, Mark Lemon, they're working on his bike at the moment. He's in the next heat.
Yeah, using his rider replacement. Well, he obviously was rider replacement in heat 1. He ran, rider replacement for heat 3. Let's get that right. But Mark Lemon, he's doing very well this season. He missed last year completely the Elite League. There's no question this guy's got a lot of talent.
Is he in the Aussie squad?
That I don't know. That I don't know. I can't answer that. They seem to have so many riders
plenty
at the
to pick
moment.
from.
They do.
Well, as you can see, he's up and out of the tunnel and onto the track. So let's once again rejoin Chris, Louis and Tony Millard to pick up the action.
The explanation that Mark Lemon's in Heat 3, of course, is the rider replacement regulations operating for the absent and injured Alice Drimmel. It means that both reserves, Mark Lemon and Alan Rossiter, can have rides in his place, as can Lucas Drimmel. That man in blue there is Mark Lemon, out for his second ride in a row. The full lineup, Mark Lemon goes from the inside for Oxford. Gate 2 is Jason Lance, his first ride of the night for Bellevue. Gate 3 is the captain of Oxford, Steve Johnston, who needs 2 points for 250 Elite League bonus points in his career. And on the outside is the experienced twice-time Danish champion, Brian Karger. Another competitive heat. Chris, forecast the winner?
Yeah, thanks very much for putting the pressure on. Very difficult to forecast the winner. Steve Johnson's the first time we've seen him tonight on his home track. It goes very well. Jason Lyons very quick off the start.
Well, we'll have to see. That man in red there, Steve Johnston, of course, in the Oxford colours there. Our starting marshal moves away with a purpose and almost a false start there. And certainly the man in green was Jason Lyons, who tried to anticipate the start, and it hasn't paid off. And I'm sure the referee is going to pull them back there for an unsatisfactory start with Jason Lyons, the man who was moving. I'm sure we get a chance to see that again. But referee tonight, Mick Postlewhite, to referee the Swedish Grand Prix. We'll see it again.
Yeah, we can see Jason's definitely moved before the tapes went up. I mean, he didn't touch the tape, so you can't actually exclude him from the race, but the referee deems that he's moving when the tapes have gone up, so that's the way it is.
Well, it looks as if the referee would all fall back in because Jason Lyons, as you say, didn't touch the tapes, and we'll have to see. I have to tell you that in the British Elite League, there's slightly different tapes regulation from the Grand Prix, because in the Grand Prix, if it's only a bike, that if your head touches it, it doesn't count, it's only a bike. In the British League, any of it. The restart of Heat 3. The lineup looking across there on the inside in blue, that's Mark Lemon. Gate 2 in green. Racing there is Jason Lyons. Gate 3 in red, Steve Johnston, the Oxford captain. On the outside in yellow is Brian Karger. Certainly Jason Lyons there. I don't think you want to anticipate the start this time, because the referee might not enjoy it. This time it's a good one on blue on the inside. Mark Lemon, track experience, of course, for that previous race. Moving into second place in yellow. Brian Karger lips through on the inside, back in third place in green. That's Jason Lyons. In red, right at the back, is the Oxford captain, Steve Johnston. And certainly here, not the starting order that we might have expected. And Mark Lemon is looking good out front.
Yeah, Mark came from the start, made an excellent start. I thought perhaps Brian Karger was going to get up the inside of him down that back straight, but he's looking behind him at the moment. He can't see his inspiring captain because he's at the back, although Jason Lyons is now moving out and having a really good go up the outside. He's got plenty of speed, and it's all getting close at the front now.
Lap and a quarter to go. Jason Lyons putting the leader Mark Lemon under pressure. A battle of two Australians here. Both, of course, come from Victoria. Battle on the back too as Steve Johnson tries to get on terms in the red helmet colour for Oxford. But round the top end they go. Mark Lemon set to win this. Lyons is putting him under pressure. It's going to be mighty close, but in the end, Mark Lemon wins it in the blue helmet colours. And Jason Lyons in green has to be satisfied with second place. Brian Karger gets third, and a real disappointment for the Oxford captain, Steve Johnson at the back. We can see it there though, and the man in blue quite clearly, Mark Lemon, is the winner of that one. And well, it's another share of the points at 3-all in that one, and that makes it 11-7 in favour of the home team. And certainly there's some competition here tonight. The official result we can see here now for Heat 3, Mark Lemon the winner in his second ride in a row. Jason Lyons and Brian Karger for Bellevue package second and third to make it 3 apiece, and Oxford leading 11-7.
Looking at the start, gate position 1 certainly seems to be working. Mark Lemon's made a perfect start. We may have been looking at Steve Johnson or Jason Lyons, but they're at the back at the moment. Brian Karger, you can see there, he's using the edge of the dirt. He turns back. He's a wily old campaigner. He's been racing for several years now. I'm sure he won't like me for saying that too much. But he's moved up the inside, almost got there, but didn't quite have the room. He had to stop the bike. and Mark Lemon's out in front and never really looked back. You can see he's riding quite confidently. There's Jason Lyons on the outside. He started to move through the pack on about the second lap and slowly reeled in Mark Lemon, and he did actually catch him by the end of the race. But you can see he's really struggling with the dirt line there. His bike's turning right on him, which is always a sign perhaps of being overgeared a little bit. Perhaps he'll be coming in and changing gear for the next race, which should hopefully help him off the start too.
While in the pits, Jane Morrigby has with her the winner of that race, Mark Lemon.
Well done, Mark. That was a brilliant race. You got a great start as well.
Yeah, it helped a little. We made a little adjustment on the carburation just before that race, and it seemed to work a little bit better. But it was spitting out a lot of revs going in the straight, so we're going to change the gear on that because I thought the thing was going to explode.
Oh, really? So you're going to get back in the pits and get your mechanic working again, because we saw you a little bit delayed getting out in the first pit.
Yeah, he's at it now. It's just I had to ease off a little because the revs were just too much down the straight. So it's working well, and hopefully we can keep progressing.
Okay, how wary were you at Jason Lyons was right behind you because he was breathing down your neck?
You worry about everybody in this league, I tell you. Obviously we've had some good races over the years. Jason comes from Madura, so it's like home away from home here tonight. But yeah, it was good.
Okay, thank you very much. Well done. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, good confident start by Oxford, and that's what they needed tonight.
They did, and that was a great ride by Mark Lemon. As I say, he's really going good this year.
As you can see, they're already at that tape, so let's join Chris and Tony to pick up the action.
Yes, and there, of course, seat number 4 now, and Jason Crump in action for the first time in the green helmet colours. But the lineup for Oxford sees Alan Rossiter, who finished second in his opening ride, goes to the inside gate. Blair Scott failed to score. Last place of reserves heat goes gate 2 for Bellevue. For Oxford, David Howe, who's in action tonight as a guest replacement. He goes in gate 3 on the outside. Is Jason Crump in the green helmet colours for Bellevue. And there we see Jason Crump, and still very much in contention at the Grand Prix Series, currently lying in 3rd place. And everybody tips him for each and every Grand Prix that doesn't quite make it. We'll have to see whether he can do it in Prague at the weekend. Away we go, and a great start by the man in yellow there. Blair Scott to surprise them all, but Crump goes round the outside, and Crump in the green helmet colours doesn't take his teammate with him, but he does take with him David Howe. But Jason Crump has picked his racing line, and Jason Crump now leads David Howe of Oxford in 2nd place. 3rd in yellows, Blair Scott for Bellevue. Right at the back in blue is Alan Rossiter, but a flyer by Jason Crump.
Yeah, he got round the outside, but it was a very surprising start from Blair Scott. He made an excellent start to head Jason Crump going into that first turn, but Jason's looking quite comfortable now. He's
Well, a real battle there we see at the back. The man in blue there is Alan Rossiter coming through, indeed, to pass Blair Scott, who's now gone from first to last in the course of 2 laps. And into the final lap they go now, with Jason Crump for Bellevue leading round the top bend and down the back straight ahead of David Howe. And this is going to be another 3-all if it stays like this, because Blair Scott's at the back. Jason Crump is at the front, and Jason Crump takes the checkered flag ahead of David Howe in the red helmet colours for Oxford. His Oxford teammate Alan Rossiter in blue gets the 3rd place there to clinch his 3rd point of the night in 2 rides. A disappointment indeed for the man at the back, Blair Scott. But no disappointment, of course, for Jason Crump, who we'll see in the Grand Prix on Saturday. A tremendous ride by him. Another 3-all, 14-10. The margin at the moment in favour of Oxford, the leaders. And Jason Crump for Bellevue, the heat winner. Packing again in 2nd and 3rd. David Howe of Oxford and Alan Rossiter of Oxford for a 3-all, 14-10.
From the start, you can see Blair Scott. He's got an unorthodox starting sort of technique with his feet forward, but it certainly worked for him there. He's out in front. He's beaten Jason Crump to the corner, but Jason's got all the speed from gate 4. He's kept the bike in line as he's gone round the corner, and he's way out in front. And David Howe's joined him at this point. And to be fair, David did chase him all the way through the race. You can see Jason was having a look back there in the corner for his team partner, but unfortunately his team partner's going the wrong way. Take another look at the start. You can see Jason's making the bike work well, but Blair Scott has actually made the better start. But Jason's gone all the way around the outside, been followed by David Howe, so it's all the way now for Jason. He's certainly out in front and looking good. His confidence dropped a little bit in the Grand Prix format at the moment, but you know, he's looking good in the league as ever.
Well, Jason Crump could be a key factor in the World Cup coming up, of course, next month. All of it here, live on Sky Sports. And day 3 of the World Cup will be at that little track in the countryside at Eastbourne. And certainly that should be a night to remember.
Welcome back to Sandy Lane, the home of the Oxford Cheetahs. They lead by 14-10 over Bellevue, but it's close at the moment. Oxford started off with a 5-1, and since then it's been even Stevens all the way. And I think it's going to be the same. I think it's going to be the same all night, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's closely fought. I think the gates are going to be crucial. We did see Jason Crump make a great start from gate 4 there. Lee Adams was sort of intimating that he probably wanted to get that one out of the way early on, but certainly Mark Lemon made a great start from gate 1 when he did his rider replacement, and that was an important race for Oxford. But neck and neck at the moment, and that's good stuff. And
as you mentioned before, reserve's so important. Alan Rossiter starting to make a little bit more headway there. He came round and was at last place and then came through.
Yeah, it was vital that, because all of a sudden it was it made it a drawn heat rather than a 4-2 to Bellevue. So, you know, when you get into those third places, it can make a significant difference to the outcome of the heat and, of course, the overall score of the meeting.
Mark Lemon we've seen in action, but Robson, Nastya. Robson, as obviously coming in as a guest, rode brilliantly the other night, got 13 points to them. They need a big night from him, and likewise Kai Laukkonen.
Yeah, Kai Laukkonen and Stuart Robson didn't have a particularly good opening ride. They got 5-1 in Heat 1, so they'll look to bounce back here. We saw Mark Lemon have a great ride in Heat 3, won that. Stevie Johnson had a poor opening ride, so I'm sure the Oxford captain will want to put some points on the board here.
And don't forget, a bonus point at stake tonight. Bellevue bring a 6-point lead. They desperately want to go away with 3 points tonight.
Some last-minute clutch adjustments there from Lee Adams actually onto Stevie Johnson's bike, so obviously he didn't make a very good start in his opening ride, and Lee Adams has probably just made some small adjustments and told him, don't miss the start this time. But so crucial to start, Jonathan. There's, you know, such a short run to the first corner here at Oxford. If you just drop that clutch a fraction of a second late, then, you know, it makes all the difference of being there first or last.
Just as critical to Oxford. They want a 6-point gap if they can, because they want the bonus too. They want to stay in that playoff berth. Yeah. All right, let's join Chris and Tony to pick up the action one more time.
Yes, for Heat 5, as you heard, Mark Lemon's in this again, his third ride of the night. He's already paid 5 points out of 6. He rides in the blue helmet colours. But Kai Laukkonen for Bellevue on the inside. Steve Johnson, the Oxford captain, from gate 2. Stuart Robson, guesting from Coventry, now Coventry Reserve. He's the guest replacement for Sam Ermolenko. You see Ermolenko on the back of his leathers. On the outside, the very busy Mark Lemon. The motors roar and away they go, and a real flyer from Steve Johnson this time, who's put things right. Round the outside, his teammate Mark Lemon. A chance of a 5-1 for Oxford here, and that would certainly be what they want. Bellevue, of course, could then introduce a tactical substitute, but back in third place in yellow is Kai Laukkonen. Stuart Robson struggling at the back and going wider with the Ermolenko leathers, but 1 and 2 it remains in either order at the moment. In blue, Mark Lemon; in red, Steve Johnston, and Bellevue have a 5-1 advantage going into the second half of the race.
Yeah, Oxford looking very comfortable at this point. It was a perfect start and first corner from both of them, from Steve Johnson and Mark Lemon, and you can see Jono's having a little look behind there. He's just covering that inside. He wants to know where the opposition are. At the moment, they don't seem to be bothering him too much, but Mark Lemon's looking very impressive tonight. He's looking very comfortable, very confident, and I think he could be the trump card for Oxford.
Down the back straight they go. In front is Mark Lemon in blue for Oxford. Second place in red, Steve Johnston. Laukkonen putting them under pressure, but in the end it's going to be a 5-1, and Lemon the winner. A good night for him at the moment in blue. In second place in red is captain Steve Johnston. Third in yellow goes Kai Laukkonen. That's a 5-1 to Oxford, who now open up the gap by 19 points to 11. Tactical substitutions could prevail for Bellevue, but another fine ride by Mark Lemon. 2 heat victories already for him tonight, the Australian. He may not be named in that initial World Cup team, but certainly he's riding tonight in flying style for the Aussies. Lemon the winner, ahead of Steve Johnston. Kai Laukkonen the consolation point for Bellevue. The 5-1 to Oxford, the home team, makes it Oxford 19, Bellevue 11, with 10 heats to go.
Yeah, we can see here it was Oxford all the way from the start. Steve Johnson coming off gate 2, he's made a very good start. He's going to cover that inside. You've got Mark Lemon, he's going to use the dirt line on the outside coming off the corner. Jono's actually moved to the edge of the dirt. Lemo's had to move his leg a little bit. Jono's just had a look there, realised it's Mark Lemon coming up the outside. Just let him get into the corner, which is very important here at Oxford, because it's quite a trick, small track, and you have to give your team partner plenty of room, which Jono's done there. He's having another look to make sure Mark Lemon's still coming with him. Take a second look at the start. This time let's have a look at Mark Lemon on the outside. He's coming around the outside of Steve Johnson. I thought Jono knew that he was there, but at this point he's moving over. He's never realised it's Mark Lemon. Sorry mate, I'll move back to the inside and let you get round. But it all came good in the end, and they look very comfortable all the way, ready to the finish.
Well, Chris, I have to say Mark Lemon going absolutely brilliantly, and it's very important to have a reserve doing that, particularly when you've got a rider replacement facility you've got to fill.
Yeah, Mark was obviously able to take one of those rides, and he's now taking a reserve ride as well, so they're using him as much as they can early on in the meeting while his form is there, but I think he's going to take this form right through to the finish.
Well, there's the score from Wimborne Road. Pool lead Eastbourne by 20 points to 16 with 6 heats gone. And that is surely going to boil up to a fantastic meeting down there on the south coast tonight. But here, it's an equally good meeting, I'm sure. Heat 6 we're coming up to now, and certainly the man in green there is Jason Crump in direct opposition to his Australian rival, Lee Adams, who'll be wearing the red helmet colours. But Lucas Drimmel, of course, is in this one, and Lucas Drimmel won his first race. Heading home, in fact, Lee Adams, his teammates, are good team riding in that one. This is heat 6. There's the man in blue, that's Lucas Drimmel. He goes from the inside. In gate 2 for Bellevue, the flying Aussie, Jason Crump. Fellow Australian, Lee Adams, 6 times an Australian champion, goes from gate 3 in red. On the outside is Thomas Jedrajak, the young Pole, and I have to tell you, his best away points total this season was paid for. He's got 3 of them already in his first ride. When he won that reserves heat, he could be the best night away from home all season. But Thomas Jedrajak, if he produces the goods in this one, will win some of his other rides. Man in blue, Lucas Drimmel, Chris, well, he has a lot of potential, doesn't he? Going 2 ways towards the Grand Prix for next year. He's racing that World Grand Final.
Yeah, he's one of very few riders that actually sort of taking advantage of that and doing that, but it's shaping up to be an interesting race with Lucas in there for good measure, and we've got Lee Adams and Jason Crump, World Cup teammates, but very much in opposition here.
Well, I'm not sure the Czechs in the World Cup will give the Aussies much of a battle, but who knows what can happen here. Away goes our starting marshal. A flyer on the inside once again for Drimmel. Crump trying to pick up on the inside. Round the outside in red goes Lee Adams. The Oxford pair in front. Crump relegated into 3rd place. Right at the back is Thomas Jedrajak. But look at this Oxford pairing. And Lee Adams has now got the flyer into lap 2 ahead of Lucas Drimmel. And Crump has a battle on his hands to close that gap.
Yeah, again, it's Oxford out in front again from the start. I spoke to Jason Crump actually before the meeting, and he said that one thing he's struggling with at the moment is too much wheel spin off the start, and you can't afford to let the guys get out in front of you here at Oxford. It's a tough track to pass on, and at the moment he's got 2 very fast guys out in front of him.
Well, Lee Adams is stretching his lead out front. Crump perhaps have a chance of snatching 2nd place now as he goes into the final lap and puts Lucas Drimmel under some pressure. But Drimmel's in control of the track. Drimmel's now got some grip on the outside, and with 2 bends to go, Crump's got a battle in the green, but out front in red, Lee Adams is going to take the checkered flag, and with him takes his teammate in blue, Lucas Drimmel, and Jason Crump is relegated to 3rd place, which makes a 5-1 to the home side Oxford yet again, who now lead 24-12, and Bellevue has something of a mountain to climb because Lee Adams there, certainly pretty fast in that one, but nowhere near the long-standing track record of Hans Nielsen of 15 years ago. Nevertheless, Lee Adams looking a class rider in that, and the Oxford fans delighted with their 3rd 5-1 of the meeting to put them firmly in control. And at the moment, well, they're in the lead by 12 points. Lee Adams the winner, ahead of his teammate Lucas Drimmel. Jason Crump the consolation point, and Bellevue must wonder what they now have to do to close this gap.
Yeah, I think what they have to do is just go a little bit quicker, especially from the start. Again, we take a look at the start. You can see Lee Adams just putting his elbow over Jason Crump. Jason's decided, okay, I'll have to go straight up the inside, but Lucas made an excellent start too. He's just allowed plenty of room for his team partner Lee Adams down the back straight, got him into the corner, and obviously they're not home and dry yet. They've got Jason Crump behind them, but certainly helps to be out in front in the first place. And Lee certainly looks smooth as ever. Taking a second look at the start there, we can see Lucas Drimmel, plenty of clutch action. And there was that little tussle between Jason Crump and Lee Adams, but moved Lee out into the dirt. Jason had a look up the inside, it wasn't enough, and Lee Adams is smoothly around the outside, using all that speed. He's always very fast around this Oxford track, and he's so smooth. Here we can take another look at Lucas Drimmel and Jason Crump. I think Jason's catching him up here. This is getting towards the end of the race, and it looked like he was going to be up the inside there, but like I say, there's very little room here at Oxford. Jason just decided it was time to switch the throttle off and save that for another corner, which he never quite made the ground up again.
Well, Chris, we know home track advantage in Speedway is as good as any sport, I suppose, in the world, but a well-prepared track like this would normally make it pretty even for the teams.
Yeah, obviously if the track's well prepared, it does make it a little bit easier for the away side to come and perform well. But this is one of those trick tracks where if you know the lines and you know where to ride, it does have a huge advantage for the home team, I think.
Well, we're now coming up to heat number 7, and this will see Mark Lemon having his 4th ride of the night. Very busy, of course, as a reserve replacement, and of course having to utilise or move into that role as rider replacement for the absent Alice Drimmel. But Jason Lance is in this. And in green there is Jason Lance, the Aussie. Saw him in that quintet for the Australian team in that World Cup. And in yellow and black there is Brian Carger, the Dane. Coming up on the inside, Jason Lance. Red, David Howe, the guest, of course, and on the outside, very busy Mark Lemon. Well, here, Bellevue have got to do something, and Brian Carger and Jason Lance in this, I would think it's possibly their best chance, Chris, to close the gap.
Yeah, I think so. They've got a lot of experience here. Brian Carger's hugely experienced, although he hasn't actually been to Oxford for about 7 or 8 years, I think. So he was a little bit nervous coming in tonight, but you know, Jason Lyons, he's really the Bellevue sort of stalwart. He's been there all through his career, and you know, he's always one that he's got a lot of pride, and he likes to go anywhere with Bellevue and win, so he's going to be looking to pull it back here.
Well, they're getting busy in the pitch too. That's the Oxford pitch. You see Colin Meredith in the background there, and working on Mark Lemon's machinery. Well, they've worked pretty hard on his machinery tonight so far, and it's proving worthwhile because he is building up the points.
Yeah, when you're having that many rides, especially early on in the meeting, you know, there's a lot of work to do between races for these bikes. They're not like your average road bike where they'll go and go and go. You've got to change edges, turn the tyre around. You've got to keep putting fuel in them. You've got to keep changing the oil. So there's a lot to do.
Yeah, 2 heat wins there we see for Mark Lemon in his last 2 races. Even that 3rd place from behind an opponent. So he's so far got paid 8 points out of a possible 9. And what more can you ask from your reserves? And Mark Lemon, the 29-year-old from Victoria in Australia, 10th in the 2002 Australian Championship back in February. An all-round sportsman, could have played Aussie rules football, I believe, as well. He chose Speedway. This is heat 7. Man in blue there, Mark Lemon. Jason Lyons, of course, a stalwart Australian rider, and Brian Carger, twice the Danish champion of the representatives of Bellevue here, and I just wonder whether they will prove too hot. But David Howe, the guest, and Mark Lemon, the informed reserve, racing for Oxford. Remember, David Howe in the red helmet collars, the Wolverhampton regular. Long journey at the weekend. He's qualified for the World Under-21 final in September, having gone all the way to Poland on Sunday to qualify. Finished 6th in Salona Gora. Heat 7. Upright the tapes, and again, a great start. Oh, they're tough on that first bend now. And certainly 1 and 2 for Bellevue, and this is what they want in yellow. Brian Carger, the Dane, out front in green. Jason Lance in 2nd place. The man in red in 3rd coming through is David Howe. Mark Lemon is tailed off at the back. And could this be the start of a comeback for Bellevue? Because Brian Carger and his teammate Jason Lance being put under pressure, but at the moment they're in control.
Yeah, this is great to see for Bellevue. They certainly needed this at this point of the meeting, and they're going to put a few points back here, but it's not all over yet. Jason Lyons has come under a lot of pressure from David Howe, and it's nice to see Brian Carger looking very comfortable out there. He was a bit nervous coming into this meeting, but he's going away at the moment. Perhaps he should be hanging back for Jason and give him a hand, I think.
Yes, well, Brian Carger, of course, missed the early one, but look at the battle in 2nd place. Brian Carger didn't race here early in the season for Bellevue, but in this one, he's showing that he likes the track, and this could be the first 5 out of the night. Indeed, the first heat advantage for the visitors from Bellevue. A good win by the man in yellow, Brian Carger. His teammate and partner in green, Jason Lyons, takes 2nd place. David Howe 3rd in red, but the 5-1 there to Bellevue, their first heat advantage of the night, closes the gap slightly at 25-17 now. Means we have a match on our hands, but a tremendous ride by both of the Bellevue riders, and we discussed that just before the heat, and maybe it had a chance of doing it, and Brian Carger did from start to finish to take the checkered flag ahead of Jason Lyons, and David Howe had to be content with 3rd place. 4 rides so far tonight for Mark Lemon, that the first one in which he's been scoreless.
Taking a look at the start, made a change now. We can see some Bellevue guys out in front. You can see on the inside there, Jason Lyons has come under a little bit of pressure from David Howe going towards the corner, but Brian Carger's used that dirt on the outside. He's joined his team partner up front there and gone into that corner, looking comfortable at this point, but David Howe does come back to them and put them under immense pressure later on in the race. You see Brian Carger's actually got a lot of speed around that top corner. The track here at Oxford's quite banked, so you can actually keep the bike running fast if you use the banking, which Brian's clearly doing there. We can see here David Howe up the inside. He's putting Jason Lyons under a lot of pressure. He's moved in very, very hard up the inside to that corner. Moved Jason out to the dirt. Perhaps it's done Jason a little bit of a favour because he's found a quicker line up on the top of the banking. Another look here, you can see David Howe, he's made a wide corner, he's gone in wide, he's turned back hard, and he was only just missed out going to that corner by that half yard, but that's all you need, and Jason's kept himself in front.
Well, maybe we'll get some changes in Heat 8 for Bellevue as they try to close the gap, but the crowd's enjoying it here at the moment because the home team is in front. But the World Cup is going to hit your stage and ours next month. The 4th meeting of the series will be at Peterborough. It's a 5-team event, and that is on the Thursday of the first week in August. We're looking forward to it a great deal.
Welcome back to Oxford, Kassam Stadium in the distance, and their season just about to kick off. But Oxford Cheetahs season very much well underway, and they're well underway here, 25-17 ahead of Bellevue. And 7 heats gone, and Bellevue, so important to get that 5-1 that they got in that last heat.
Yeah,
and
really
Kelvin,
important.
That was huge, wasn't it? I mean, they were about to, you know, literally go into the abyss, and suddenly, and Crumpy, I hear, is in the next heat.
Yes.
They could turn it all around now.
Yeah, it was a crucial 5-1. Brian Carger did a great job there, and although David Howe put the pair under a lot of pressure, Jason Lyons sort of kept him at bay. And as I say, it was an important 5-1 for Bellevue. It looked like the meeting was slipping away from them. I think if Kyle Alkinen and Jason Crump come into this race and get another 5-1, we've really got a match on our hands.
Well, Brian Carger, hero of the moment for sure. He's with Jane.
Certainly is. Brian, that was a tremendous race. You look very confident out there. Tell us, have you made any changes to your bike since the last heat you've been?
I haven't been here for a few years, so it took me a race to sort the bag out and knowing the setup, so I changed a couple of things and it seems to work better.
Can you tell us what you have changed, or is that secret?
Well, I've changed a couple of things on the clutch and the ignition, and you know, just normal things that you normally do, so...
And you're obviously happy with the way the bike's performing now?
You can get out to start, I mean, you got all the track for yourself sort of thing, you know, there's not a lot of passing out there, so... Yeah, it seemed to work okay.
Very well done anyway, thank you. Back to you, Chris and Tony.
In time for Heat 8, where, as you've heard, Jason Crump in the yellow helmet colour is in here as a tactical substitution. Will go from gate 1. Gate 2 is Alan Rossiter for Oxford. Gate 3 for Bellevue, the flying Finn Kyle Alkinen. On the outside is Lucas Drimmel in red. The tactics here are when you are 6 points or more behind, your riders may have 1 tactical substitute ride each until that gap is closed. And Jason Crump coming in really close the gap. It's currently 8 points, but if the visitors could clinch a 5-1, that will close that gap to just 4. They'll be looking to continue on a roll. And Jason Crump, the best man to do it, isn't he, Chris?
Certainly is, yeah. It's very fashionable for the team managers to bring in one of their top guys in the Heat 8, and that's what he's done here. So he'll be looking for some points from him.
Well, Crump only got a 3rd place last time out. Can he improve on that? He's made the gate. Jason Crump in yellow is in front. Round the outside, his teammate and partner in blue is Kyle Alkinen. This is a 1 and 2 for a 5-1 for Bellevue. That's exactly what John Hall, their team manager, will be looking to achieve with this. And now back in 3rd place is Lucas Drimmel. Really struggling is Alan Rossiter. And look, there's smoke pouring from the back of the machine of the man in yellow, Jason Crump, who clearly has got something problem there, Chris.
Yes, I think he has. John Hall is going to be biting his fingernails at this point. I think maybe it's just an overfill of oil coming out of the breather pipe. They have a breather pipe for the engines, and perhaps he's just got too much oil, or maybe a loose side cover. I don't think it's a major problem. Possibly he would have stopped by now if it was.
Well, he's hanging on, is Jason Crump. Out front, though, he's made space for his teammate Kyle Alkinen. Smoke pouring from the back of Jason's Crump machine, being worn down now by Lucas Drimmel. Round that top bit, Crump will need to hang on. He needs everything to hold on, and he's going to just do it in green. The winner is undoubtedly Kyle Alkinen. Jason Crump in yellow looks down at his machinery. He really must wonder what happened there. Lucas Drimmel at the back, but Kyle Alkinen won that. He stretched his lead. And Jason Crump is getting off, looking down and wondering what all that was. We can smell it all round the stadium, up here in the commentary box, and I don't think he'll be riding with that motor next, Chris Louis.
No, I don't think they'll be risking that one. I know he has got a brand new engine here that he may be tempted to try after that, I think.
Well, at 26-22, it has closed up exactly what they wanted. Kyle Alkinen, the winner. Jason Crump just finishing in 2nd place for exactly what you want with a tactical substitution. The consolation point for Lucas Drimmel. Oxford 26, Bellevue 22.
Yeah, this result's going to be inspiring for the Bellevue side. They needed this turnaround, and they're certainly putting on the style at the moment. We can see from the start, you can see Jason Crump on the inside, takes a look over his shoulder. He's looked twice, 3 times now for his team partner. That's what team racing's all about, and he's doing an absolutely perfect job out there. At the moment, he's got no problem with his motor. He's got no smoke coming out. Just checking on the opposition there. You can see him looking both ways. He's just filling in the inside behind Kyle Alkinen, and now I think it's now the onstart of his problems. He's got smoke pouring out the back there now, and it obviously was slowing him down, but I can't think that it was a major problem, because I'm sure the engine would have stopped before the end, but certainly it was slowing him down. We can see Lucas Trimmels putting him under pressure.
Well, there's Phil Crump, his famous father, of course, Australian international, acting as mechanic there, and they're looking at that machine, all sorts of things going wrong there, smoke pouring off the back, and they've got to really get it into place. But in our studio, Jason Crump can tell us firsthand with Jonathan Green and Kelvin.
Well, as you've just pointed out, he's got some great experience in that pit lane, but what was going on out there?
I don't know, I guess the bolt on the back mudguard broke and jammed all up in the back wheel. The bike was going so slow, I was waiting for Dribble to come by, but...
Did it actually? There is the bolt, there it is on the ground, mate.
Okay.
We found it.
There you go.
You need it back?
No, thanks, it's okay. That's a fair one. I'll throw it into my Cowley fan club here.
Yeah, they're not giving you a wild reception, are they?
Funny bunch down here.
How are you going though? I mean, that is so turned around this meet very quickly.
I made a bit of a mistake, I think, in the first 2 races. I had a brand new engine off Peter Johns, and he tries to set them up soft for tracks like this, but he can't help but make big horsepower. And it was a bit of a handful to ride in the first 2 races, and that one I just jumped on the old slug, and it's definitely working better around here.
Okay, well that's good news for you, but it's certainly good news for the team. 2 5-1s back to back. All of a sudden 3 heats ago you're out of it. Now you're right back in it.
Yeah, I mean that's how quickly things can turn around, and you know, that's a lot of times people write Bellevue off and say we're not that good a team, but when things are clicking for us, we are quite a good team. And
well, to be honest, on paper all year you've looked great.
Yeah.
You've had a few problems yourself, had injuries.
Guys, I'd like Lee Chaplin. He's got to actually go in the next heat. I've just found out.
Oh, well.
We're still working on you, but you can ask your question.
We've got plenty of time, don't worry.
I know you want to go, but you keep an eye on it. When you feel like you've got to go, you go. But go on, what was your question?
Well, on paper, earlier in the season, like you look like one of the pre-season favourites, but things just haven't quite clicked, have they?
Yeah, it's been disappointing. You know, like I said, I was injured for 4 or 5 weeks early on, and you know, Sam wasn't going brilliantly, and you know, Brian struggled a bit, and kind of we all just kind of got back together, and Sam goes and breaks his wrist, and it's really disappointing because he was starting to hit a bit of form as well. And yeah, I think we're a relatively decent team, and I think that, you know, with a bit of luck tonight we might be able to surprise a few viewers.
And ironically, you still could get in that top 5, and then it's all to ride for then, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that'd be a bit of a miracle if that happened, to be honest. But yeah, we're certainly, we want the extra meetings, we want the extra income, so we want to try and go for it and get in them.
Well, bonus point tonight, possibly. That'll put you 3 more, then maybe another 3 at Ipswich.
Never know.
You never know.
You
well,
never
say never.
You're responsible for that smell in the air, aren't you? That fiberglass smell.
I thought it was Kai's bike in front of me, and you know, as soon as I went over the line,
we knew better.
All right, we'll let you go get back. Salvage your wreckage.
Right.
But well, we
terrific,
great meet, haven't we?
Terrific. Yeah. Well, we were sort of looking at it. Heat 8 all of a sudden became very important. Jason coming in, they had gate 1 and 3 there, and the Bellevue pair did the business. And Crumpy, although he had the back guard and smoke coming off the bike left, right and centre, they pulled a 5-1 out of the bag when they desperately needed it. So
he's having a quick look now.
Yeah, he will do.
Yeah, Colin Meredith came by the studio a few heats ago and sort of looked at me and went, "Oh yeah, thumbs up, you know, it's going well." And
he's disappeared now, isn't he? He's in the pit.
His head now.
Exactly, he's having a look around, but they're furiously working away. They shouldn't
I've
be too
never seen
much.
that happen actually with a man.
No, well, they're only 6mm bolts they're holding that mudguard on, and they've obviously come loose or snapped off.
How good are our cameramen? They found that bolt though.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, can't believe it. But probably what they've had to do, Jonathan, is that they may well have had to change the tyre, because that tyre would have been rubbing on the back mudguard and it may well have damaged it. So it's quite likely that they may have used, they may well be popping in another rear wheel now. But John Hall having a chat with Jason there, he's probably getting a bit excited now. They're back in the meeting, and it's good for everybody. You know, all of a sudden their meeting, which looked like it was slipping away from them, they're back in the hunt. And you know, the enthusiasm all of a sudden rushes down the pit lane, and it's exciting to be in the match again.
How frustrating must it be for someone like Jason Crump, who at the beginning of the season was without doubt the favourite, if not besides Tony Rickardson obviously, to gate the Grand Prix. He's in a team that isn't being that successful, and he's having to almost ride, you know, out of his skin.
Yeah, he's going to lift the team, you know, and it's added pressure on him. It's always easier to be in a team where everybody's sort of performing, you're doing the business home and away. You know, like for example, if Jason Crump was in Eastbourne now, I'm sure that his form everywhere would be better. But I think Bellevue, like he intimated, he had quite a severe injury early doors in the season. That couldn't have happened to him at the worst time. A lot of pressure on him, got hurt in Poland. He did a fantastic rehabilitation job to get back into the Grand Prix for Norway. Very nearly pulled off a win. But I do believe that sort of hung around him for quite some time. So, you know,
I've got the latest score coming in. Sorry, just to hold you there. Yep, Pool 33, Eastbourne 27, and I think that's going to go all the way.
Yeah.
Two great rivals there.
Sure.
Pool at home, unbeatable. They haven't been beaten at home, I don't think. And
No.
Eastbourne, of course, top of the league.
Exactly. There's a 6-point difference there now, so Eastbourne will be able to start using some tactical substitutes. But Pool are a tough side at home. We saw last week how convincing, particularly Ricardo.